Welcome to the M2 podcast. My name is Michael Anthony. My co-host is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we cover basically video game industry related news. We're talking esports and personalities, new and upcoming games, and technology and innovation. What we do at the start of every single episode is just do a quick little recap, see what each other have been up to. I haven't talked to Kyle kind of really since the last time we recorded. There's been some DMs going back and forth, but I was busy over the weekend. So what have you had going on this last week, man?
Look,
Been grinding?
I just gotta say, dude, I am happy your weekend. This past weekend wasn't like the previous weekend. You know what I'm saying, dude?
That's a fact, dude.
Oh, man.
It's been rough, man.
No, but bro, I played some games. I actually like sat down. I think it was like Sunday. I like sat down. I had a couple hours, so I was like, I'm going to intentionally play video games, which I know sounds weird, but like I feel like I have to do that sometimes. So
Yeah.
I got a bunch of stuff done, got stuff for like the podcast like rolled out, set up. So I was like, all right, it's time. So yeah, so I sat down. I finally got around to As Dusk Falls.
Nice. How was that?
I played the first like couple hours. It's really good, and I'll be honest, I was like I don't want to say I was skeptical going in, but I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. But after playing the first couple hours, I cannot wait to jump back in and finish it. It's a pretty short game. I think from what I saw, it was only like 6 hours total. So,
Oh,
I don't
really?
have.
I didn't know it was that short.
Yeah, I don't have too much left, but yeah, I think I've done like the first like third, and yeah, so far it's really good. I love the storytelling's pretty top notch. It seems like it's a decision based game, but like it's the sole focus of the game, so you know they do a good job of like every little thing matters kind of thing. So, very excited to hop back in on that and play some more because yeah, it was a lot of fun. So Game Pass game, by the way, you know we always talk about Game Pass.
I was just about to ask that. Yeah,
is available on Game Pass if you have it and you're into story games. Maybe something to check out. It's a presentation style. If you've seen the trailers or not, I mean, it's pretty much like it's very much almost like I akin it to almost like a comic book, like a motion comic book, except it's not really comic book artwork. It's like a little. The art style is pretty cool, but it's very much like kind of you see like scenes almost. You don't see like it's not like a proper like cutscene style of game, but that's the best way I can describe it. But it's definitely different. So I think that's pretty cool, and I think it plays to that advantage. So very much enjoy that. I'm gonna be hop back in soon. Other than that, man, I played some BattleBit. You know, played some more of the Poly Battlefield. So I have to say,
did Boomer get you into it?
No, it wasn't Boomer. I think my buddy, like one of my buddies, like brought it up to me like a while ago. Like, hey, dude, you heard of it? And I like hadn't heard of it until he mentioned it. And so I watched some clips of it, and I was like, actually, it looks pretty fun. So I don't know. It's $15. I mean, if you can get past like you have to pay $15, I think it's worth it. Especially if you're deprived of shooters, like most people are at this point. So it's one of those like good to kind of just hop in and play. But yeah, so I played some of that. Yeah, I played a couple things this week, but other than that, I don't think I played much else. Kind of just been working about my money, you know what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah.
About my money.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But yeah, so I do that and yeah, I don't think there's anything else. What about you, Mike? You play 5 games this week, 1 game, half a game?
I played 2 games technically. To piggyback off of your As Dusk Falls, that's on my like to play gaming tracker list that I have.
Yeah.
So I'm patiently waiting to get started on that. I got to finish up the other games I currently have on it. I didn't play any Zelda, unfortunately. That is still on my to-do list. But what I did do is Saturday, I basically woke up, slept kind of like I slept in. I didn't have anything to do all day. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to devote this day to staying inside and gaming. I mean, I did take the dog for a walk like several times. We were out for like an hour or so. Probably like an hour and a half if you combine both walking trips we did. But really, I was like, dude, I haven't played games in like a week. So I loaded up the original Xbox and played Halo 2 with the boys. And then got tired of that. And I was like, you know what? Let's start playing Halo 3 competitively again. So I was playing in like MLG4's list. They call it 8s. Halo community is kind of weird about that. I never understood. Yeah, before game types, having fun with that. And outside of that, man, I've been just like the new season of Bear came out on Hulu. It's a restaurant,
Yeah,
like,
I've seen the
drama
trailers.
show.
Yeah.
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 So pretty much spent my time binging all of that,
Dang,
basically.
was it good? I'm
Yeah.
assuming it was good.
Yeah, it was really good, it was really good. Outside of that, man, I've just been, like, binging YouTube, trying to learn, like, new things, like, just interesting stuff, like, facts, like, historical stuff I've been
Yeah.
trying to get into. The whole submarine thing that happened last
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
uh, fell into a rabbit hole of, like, oh, like, okay, the Titanic, yeah, I know about the Titanic, but, like, why did it sink? And then you start learning more about that, and then I fell into a different rabbit hole of what's the deepest shipwreck that we've ever discovered, and I've just, like, been going deeper and deep like, just
Dude,
it's a rabbit hole of algorithm just totally encapsulated me the last, couple of
yeah.
days.
Dude, it's so funny because I literally fell down the same thing of like, I wonder how deep the ocean is. What's like the furthest point you've ever been? Like, what do we know about? And so, yeah, I was the
Yeah.
same thing.
We don't know a lot, that's the scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's still so much left. Yeah. I mean, I didn't mention it too, but you know, if we're mentioning shows and movies, I also watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I finally saw that
Dude,
movie by
that's such a good movie.
yeah, by Quentin Tarantino. So
Uh-huh.
it's one of those things I'm trying to get through his back catalog because I've slowly but surely been watching more Quentin Tarantino movies because yeah, dude, the legend. So movies are like
Yeah.
the best. So see, I'm trying
Yeah,
to catch up on all those. So yeah,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's pretty funny because it's like it doesn't feel like a Quentin Tarantino movie until the end.
yeah,
Because you're
yeah.
like, you know it's gonna turn into a Quentin Tarantino movie. It
Yeah,
hasn't happened.
at some point. Dude,
Yeah.
I will say like every single Quentin Tarantino movie he does like he'll do fight scenes or like shooting scene like he does it all like so well. So it's one of those things like you watch it and it's like it's again this is awful but like it's a movie it's like it's all in a movie, right? So it's like it's just impressive about how realistic it all is. So
Oh, definitely,
yeah,
man.
it's an art
Yeah.
form, dude. It's an art form.
But you know what else is an art form?
They
Xbox acquisitions is an art form.
Oh shoot, he said it. Yeah, dude. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be honest. There was a lot of news coming out this week just from the FTC versus Microsoft court cases that have been ongoing now for past 4 days. And oh my gosh, there was a lot of we could include in this episode just about that. I'm like trying to. There's a couple stories that we had. I feel like we have to cover, but yeah, this is certainly one of them right here. So we're gonna start off with Xbox acquiring Hellblade developer Ninja Theory. It was disclosed that they acquired them for $117 million in some of the paperwork this week going on. And this is again from George Yang over at IGN. Ninja Theory was acquired for $117 million by Microsoft, according to FTC filings. The FTC versus Microsoft case has revealed some new information recently about Microsoft's proposed acquisitions. FTC filings, and this is really interesting. FTC filings showed internal emails from Microsoft about which studios and publishers to be on the lookout for regarding potential acquisitions and candidates, including Bungie and Sega. At one point, Mike, Xbox was going for Bungie and Sega, some big dogs. And I think it's interesting too because like, you know, all the like Yakuza titles are all like Sega, right? And that's all on Game Pass and everything. Kind of crazy. In an internal email detailed a pitch to acquire Sega, there was a list of precedent transactions on page 10, and it noted previous acquisitions from many different companies, including Sony, Microsoft, and Electronic Arts. Within the list was Ninja Theory, which is noted to be bought for $117 million. It also mentions the date when the acquisition was made public, which is June 10th, 2018. That was during the E3 2018, where Microsoft also announced they had acquired Turn 10, Playground Games, Compulsion Games, and Undead Labs. Ninja Theory's latest title, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, is set to release sometime in 2024. And yeah, they go on to say, you know, you can check out, you can look on the internet and find all the FTC or Microsoft filings because there's a lot more than just this. I thought it was pretty interesting though, that because like I read this and I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Hellblade, fantastic game, right?
Yeah.
But I was doing a little research on top of this even before the show, and it's like Hellblade, the original Hellblade, was made by a team of 20 over like a 3-year cycle. It released in like 2017. So it's like 2017, 2018. So it's like you get it's like this such a small crew. It accrued I think it got like 13 million or something like that in like the 1 year or so, or even shorter than that when it was out. And so then shortly after that they got acquired by Microsoft. It's like they had 13 million for this little team. It's like that's fantastic. But then like Microsoft goes in, pretty shortly after that. It's like, yo, we'll give you 117 million, and you can build the next Hellblade. And you have all this budget, and I mean, if you see any of the stuff like for any of like there was of course some behind the scenes and stuff that was filmed for some of the Summer Games Fest, where they talked with Ninja Theory. They went into the studio and they were talking about the original development. It's like they're sitting there mocapping and filming stuff like in their little like in like the little like living room or lobby they had. It was like they didn't have a studio. It was kind of just like makeshift. And now it's like they have a full-fledged like mocap studio. It's like full grade, like like they took that Microsoft money and now they're just like upping the quality of this next game to like insane levels. So I don't know. This game, Hellblade 2, has been a long time in the making at this point, and I think it's one of those things like I just want to play the game at this point, and I'm like, I hope they don't like hype it up too much more, because it's like, I mean, I already know it's gonna be a good game, so it's like, just give me the game. I want to see what you guys have been working on for the past like 3-4 years. So I'm very much excited, but yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know, do you think it was gonna be 117 million for the studio, Mike? Microsoft would be like, here you go.
That is a lot. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, right? So while you were breaking it down, I went and pulled up some of the games that they've developed. It's like their first game that they developed was Kung Fu Chaos for the original Xbox back in 2003. So they've been around the block for like a while. And then when you like really get into it, one of their most famous games is also like Devil May Cry. So it's like, well, if you got the Devil May Cry series 2 and Hellblade was such a success, Microsoft was probably just like, I want to have this no matter what.
Yeah.
So maybe that was just like, maybe they wanted to remain independent and they just drove the price up to like a ridiculous number. And Microsoft's just like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. We don't care.
Yeah.
They make like $1 billion a month. So what's 117 million?
Yeah, I'm saying. And it's so
that is
funny.
a lot though.
It is, man. Like, I think it, to another point too, it's kind of like this kind of like almost like, I don't know, I was gonna say devil's advocate, but it's really not that. But like I was thinking, like, Microsoft is pouring all these resources into this, and it's great that Microsoft does like pours resources into a studio like this that they know has potential, but they just need a little more backing to make their games that much better and make like fantastic products. I'm really hoping Ninja Theory is kind of the poster child of what good Microsoft funding can do for like a development company and a game. But also, it's like, you see all these multiplayer games that, that are managed in Microsoft Studios, and you're like, dude, where is that funding? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of a two-edged sword there, but a double-edged sword. But I think I'm really hoping that this is going to be like, okay, this is what happens whenever a good studio has a nice, good faith contract or whatever with Microsoft to actually make something decent. So I'm really pushing for Hellblade 2, I guess is what I'm saying. So
it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like everything that we've seen so far about Hellblade 2 looks absolutely phenomenal. We have a whole nother year until we get like more information on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hellblade, the first one was, and they even did like a VR. From what I understand, both of those were relative.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm optimistic, I think. But to your point, I think if you have a well-established company or a developer that's producing really good games, and if they just need a couple of like a little bit more finances, like a little bit more backing from somebody like Microsoft or even Sony for that matter, then they'll be successful regardless. I think it just speeds up the process,
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, that's what I hope for most of these acquisitions. It's kind of just like helps speed up the process. But like also, I gotta commend studios for taking years to make a game. I mean, granted, it's kind of relative, right? If there's like a bunch of people and it's taking years, it can be one thing. But if it's like a small studio taking years, obviously it's gonna take years if it's like smaller. But I mean, I don't know. Taking your time with something, I think, is something that I think developers are starting to realize is more beneficial to just their IP and their longevity in general. So I hope more studios do that, and I hope more studios will take their time and actually try and make good games. Because at this rate, the scale that video games is, the longer you sit with it and make sure that you have most of it right, the better off it'll be, I think. So I'm excited for Hellblade 2. And Ninja Theory, they got the bag, baby. So let's hope they don't flop. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
I also didn't know they made like mobile games too, which kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, this is the thing. There's not to put too much pressure on Ninja Theory, but there's a lot riding on this, because if they release Hellblade 2 and it's not up to par, it's kind of like, well, you guys got 117 million. What are you doing? Kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just don't see how it could be a flop. They've had so many years to work on it. We haven't heard of any like head of studios quitting or being fired, right?
Yeah, no
I
red
don't think
flags
so.
like that. Yeah, I don't think
Like,
so.
yeah, there's no real red flags. Everything that we've seen, I think we got like a mini like in between cinematics and actual gameplay of
Yeah.
Hellblade 2, and it looks really good. So I
Certainly
haven't seen
does.
any I haven't seen any red flags, but I'm not gonna say it's gonna be flawless, because the way the
Yeah.
market is with like AAA studios just releasing crap, it is good to see that there are no red flags yet, and we're a year out. Usually, this is around the same time where we're like, "Oh, they need more time. They don't have enough funding. Contract workers and whatever AAA thing that you can think of."
Yeah.
But
Yeah, very true,
yeah,
man. Anyways, I don't know. I'm very much looking forward to this game, and yeah, a little surprised, but I think I'm it's looking like green flags all around. So we'll see in a year, Mike. We'll see in a year. I feel like there's
that's a
something we're also
fact.
gonna see pretty soon. If this acquisition goes through, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna see the dog going ham on the toy. Hey, let's go.
He's got a squeaky toy. Go get your bow. Uh-oh, no.
Oh
He's
no.
excited. Hold on.
Dog's
Hold on.
excited. Ladies and gentlemen,
There
the
you go.
dog is very excited.
There, I gave him a treat. We're good. All right. So back to what we were trying to say is this article is coming from gamesdeveloper.com. It is Chris Carr or Kerr, depending on how he pronounces his
Yeah.
last name. But anyways, so Activision Blizzard won't receive PlayStation dev kits if it's acquired by Microsoft. That's kind of surprising, but not too
Yeah.
surprising. It's like, why?
Oh,
So
yeah.
Sony will refuse to send PlayStation development kits to Activision Blizzard if Microsoft completes its acquisition of the Call of Duty publisher. That's according to PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, who was speaking during a pre-recorded video deposition as part of the FTC's trial into Microsoft's proposed $68.7 billion merger with Activision Blizzard. So, as highlighted by IGN, Ryan said that handing over PlayStation dev kits to a company owned by our direct competitor would be too big of a risk. How?
Hmm.
Does that sound like BS to you?
Yeah, it kind of does. I'll be honest. What are
That
you
sounds like
afraid
BS to
of,
me,
Sony? You
man.
know what I'm saying? Oh man,
But
that's kind of
I
crazy.
don't I don't get it. But
Mm,
maybe he continues to explain. So Jim Ryan goes on to say, "We simply could not run the risk of a company that was owned by our direct competitor having access to that information could leak into other parts of Microsoft and potentially allow them to be able to develop similar features to the ones that we would argue that we invented." Notably, Ryan added that Sony wouldn't feel comfortable using a contract to ensure Activision Blizzard wouldn't lift the lid on any of the new PlayStation features it might have in the works.
oh man, I don't know how I feel about this one, Mike. To be honest, it's because it's like this is the thing. If you're trying to do like, if you want to help your company, like yeah, like whatever the competitors, like yeah, they're in on Activision games, but it's like not allowing Activision to utilize your platform and make sure that it's optimized to work properly on your platform is going to hurt your platform. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
Like it seems so counterintuitive. Like I get like they don't want to deal with Microsoft, like fine, whatever. I mean Microsoft clearly doesn't care. And then like it's not
No.
like, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but this is I don't know, it's an interesting play from Sony, to say the least.
I think the other thing that's kind of interesting is you can pay $20 with a Microsoft Xbox like Xbox Live account and turn your Xbox into a dev kit.
Yeah.
You can do that
Yeah, pretty
right
much.
now. You don't need to buy and go get another Xbox. Although it will help for like actual developers and programmers that are like want to test the limits to understand how it works with like an Xbox One,
Yeah.
right? But it's like with the Xbox Series X, you just pay a fee and then you get like personalized access.
Yeah.
Why are they trying to act like they have proprietary stuff going on their PlayStation 5, you know?
I mean, yeah,
Like
there's some similar parts I would say between the two. I mean, mostly like dev kits are. I think the best use for dev kits is when the console isn't out yet, so you want to give developers adequate time to develop for the new hardware, right? And really the only way to do that is if you give them a dev kit that's not necessarily the final thing, or maybe it's like just a way for them to test. And it just seems, I don't know, man, it just seems so like just weird to me, man. I just don't get it.
Yeah, neither do I, man. It doesn't make sense, but the article does continue on saying that dev kit leaks aren't Sony's only concern. So Jim Ryan's deposition has offered a huge amount of insight into how Blizzard deal. For instance, Ryan conceded that while exclusivity deals for other titles like Starfield and Redfall aren't anti-competitive, the Japanese company had expected those games to eventually land on PlayStation prior to the ZeniMax deal going through. And he also reiterated his belief that Xbox Game Pass is value destructive and that cloud gaming will become a vital market between 2025 and 2035. What? I have so many opinions so far. Let's finish it off. Last paragraph. In addition, the PlayStation boss said he didn't initially feel the Activision merger was an attempt to secure exclusivity for franchises like Call of Duty, but now feels that Microsoft will eventually stop bringing those titles to PlayStation if the deal is approved. Sounds like a weak argument to me, man.
Yeah.
And that sentence with like he reiterated his belief that Xbox Game Pass is value destructive and that cloud gaming will become a vital market between 2025 and 2035. I think cloud gaming is already here. I think Sony is already late to the party. I mean, you can make the argument. I think it's already here in areas or in countries where high-speed internet is like readily available at an affordable price. But the value destructive, yeah, sure, it's value destructive based on the publishers and the studios and like the major manufacturers, but for the consumer, it's great value, you know?
It's the best value, dude.
Yeah. So I think that sentence alone says what Jim Ryan views the future of gaming, and I think this is going to be a huge issue for PlayStation, regardless if this like FTC acquisition goes through or not. Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think of this. Yeah, so I mean, you're saying at this rate, Sony's taking an L regardless, even if the deal doesn't go through. Sony's not doing well.
I think Sony is in the market of selling hardware. They're trying to get the best games possible and making everything exclusive on their platform. They've always done this with like DLC content as well. So Soul Calibur is probably one of the first times I ever really saw it. Each individual platform had its own like signature character, right? So it's like if you played Soul Calibur, I think it was 3. If you played Soul Calibur on a Nintendo game, you get to play as Link from Legend of Zelda. And then if I think it was like somebody from Final Fantasy for Sony or something like that. I can't really remember, but it was one of the first times I ever saw where it was like, okay, well, you had this game for the platform, you would only get this benefit. And like Microsoft and Xbox had such a bad backlash that they stopped doing that altogether like 10 years ago. And I don't think Sony's ever going to stop doing that because that's their whole plea to like buy a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 6, whatever's next.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. What's your take?
I mean, I could agree with that, I think. I mean, overall, it just seems like, yeah, I think, I don't know, like, I mean, we just keep saying it, but like, Sony's behind, right? So it's like, they're gonna have to play catch up eventually. I'm glad they're looking into cloud computing. I know we reported on that last week. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's like, I mean, I don't know. It's, I mean, and it's also based on, I don't think we're necessarily covering in this episode, but I know like Jim Ryan, like, there was some, I guess, some emails that leaked around the time the acquisition was announced between Jim Ryan and the former CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment. But I think it's, I mean, overall, it just seems like a weird move, and I don't think, but I mean, then again, nothing like this has ever happened before, so it's I'm not super surprised that some like companies like Sony just don't necessarily know what to do. They're just trying to say like, okay, well maybe this isn't in the long run. This definitely isn't good for us. So let's just see what we can do in terms of trying to like prevent this from happening, kind of thing.
Yeah, it seems like a desperate plea to like slow Microsoft down.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
Microsoft kind of owns the software side of things, not just gaming, but just computing in general. So
Yeah, for sure.
nobody's really going to catch up to them, I don't think. I mean, maybe Apple, but that's like a huge commitment for a lot of people. Because that's a whole ecosystem you're joining. You know?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's
I've fallen victim to it. I'm not gonna lie. I just don't have a Mac. That's the only thing.
yeah. Most people have both if they're like doing your line of work. But that's besides the point. Just going back to this acquisition, Jim Ryan's just kind of like pulling in every direction he possibly can, and hopefully something sticks.
Yeah.
Like a dev kit is really what you're worried about now. You're worried about your PlayStation 6 or PlayStation 5 dev kit getting exposed by arguably the most successful software company in existence.
Yeah, we don't want to give the competitors our edge, you know what I'm saying? By giving them the hardware and then they report to Xbox and Xbox can make something better. Why don't you make a cloud platform?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Why don't you make?
Why
don't you
just
worry about making a good product? Like, why are you worried about what other people are doing?
Right? If you make something good, it won't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are the insecurities showing? That's all I'm saying. Insecurities, they're showing.
Jim Ryan's insecure confirmed.
Oh man, you know there was another developer that was oh man, I ain't gonna say it.
Don't say it. Let's just move on to the next topic without.
Okay.
So people will know what it is.
Man,
they'll know the segue.
Yeah, so it'll make sense to say. Listen, Spec Ops: The Line devs Jaeger, say Jaeger. Jaeger they made the free-to-play shooter, The Cycle Frontier, and unfortunately, it is shutting down in September. Moment of silence for the people who've been listening to this show for a long time. All right, we had our boy Spartan Boomer on last year, just talking about content creation and everything. But a huge point of it was Spartan Boomer discovered a new game called The Cycle Frontier, and
he did. He's very excited.
Called it The Cycle Frontier. Is very excited about it. I did judo like. You see that? I had like my cat was right here. It's like yeet.
Judo throw the cat.
Yeah, because he's playing with my charger, dude. I'm trying to do a show. So anyway, Spartan Boomer is very excited about this game. He talked a lot about it, and it seemed like a cool concept. I mean, this is around the time when the extraction shooters were huge with like Escape from Tarkov. So
yeah,
of course this was Jaeger. Yeah, I mean this was Jaeger's kind of entry into that. I feel like extraction shooters surprisingly aren't as big as they were last year. I don't think, at least from what I see. And they've certainly fallen off a little bit. But then again, you know, we say that, and I'm pretty sure Marathon, Bungie's upcoming shooter, is going to be an extraction shooter. So it's like, you know, it's not dead, but there's and who knows? There's rumors that could be a reason why we are about to read this next article here. So yeah, they essentially said the game was not financially viable. All right, move on to the next article, Mike. I think. All right, anyways, let me do some reading. All right, so Jaeger, the developer behind the likes of Spec Ops: The Line and Dreadnought, have announced their free-to-play PvPvE extraction shooter, The Cycle Frontier, will be shutting down on the 27th of September, saying the game is not, quote, financially viable. The Cycle Frontier, which arrived on PC last June, literally June 2022, Mike. What about that? Seems
crazy.
Teams of players in the role of prospectors airdropping onto a hostile alien planet in order to gather resources, fend off predators, and competing teams with a steadily expanding arsenal. Then whiz back into space at the end with all of their hard-earned spoils. The game has seen 3 seasons of updates since its launch last summer, but Jaeger has now announced development is coming to an end, with its most recent patch being its last. Today, we sadly have to deliver difficult news that we are sharing with a rather heavy heart, the developer wrote in an announcement post. Despite our best efforts and meaningful improvements brought to the game since launch and up until the release of Season 3, the reality is that the Cycle Frontier is unfortunately not financially viable. This brings us to the heartbreaking announcement. The Cycle Frontier will be sunsetting on September 27th, 2023. It's a very hard decision for us, but after debating it for a long while, we had to accept this was the best course of action for Jaeger. Accompanying the news, Jaeger shared the more detailed analysis of the Cycle Frontier's successes and struggles, noting one of the studio's major challenges was a sharp increase in cheaters after launch. A spike it was unable to address rapidly enough, resulting in a significant decrease in players. The arrival of Season 2 didn't bring the reverse in fortunes Jaeger hoped. And while subsequent changes, the cycle's mechanics caused an increase in our success metrics, it wasn't enough to make the game financially viable. Dang, dude, pulling back the curtain a little bit. Cheaters, Mike. Who would have thought cheaters would ruin a game, dude? Who would have thought? You know what I'm saying? Not only do they ruin the consumer's enjoyment of the game, but in turn can financially ruin a developer.
Are we surprised, man?
No.
Like, dude, it's so upsetting. Nobody has ethics anymore, or morals, or any type of compass of like how to do things, man.
It's so crazy, dude.
Cheating is literally ruining games, and people are quitting, no longer playing it, not going back, because the devs can't react to it quick enough, whether they're indie or AAA. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, dude, it's like. It just sucks because as a dev, it's like, especially for a smaller dev, it's like you could try and work as fast as you can, but sometimes you just can't beat them. It's like, geez. Jaeger added that while it strongly considered making the game available to everyone so that it could be enjoyed offline and possibly on private servers, it ultimately came to the conclusion that that wasn't feasible given the cycle's server-based nature and dedicated backend system. Preparation for September shutdown, Jaeger has ended all real money purchases, but the in-game shop will still rotate daily and weekly, with all items receiving a 95% discount or more. Additionally, progression speeds will be increased, and all players will receive Season 3's Premium Fortuna Pass for free upon logging into the game. Finally, Jaeger will be refunding all purchases made in the last 14 days. Jaeger says
that's really nice of him, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I like that.
Yeah, I read that. I read that earlier today, and I think it's like, I mean, it's cool. Like, you know, they're shutting down the game, but at least it's like, hey, if you purchase something in the last 2 weeks, just like we'll refund you, and then everything is going to be severely discounted. So if you want to like check out the cool stuff and make the last little time with the game fun, then yeah,
enjoy it where you can.
Yeah. Jaeger says it will now shift its focus on a new project using, quote, all the valuable experience, learnings, and feedback we've gathered.
That's good. That's really similar to what the creators of Splitgate did. Because they lost their population by a lot, and I don't think it was a cheating thing. I think it was just I always go back to it. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times to you, is the lack of like ownership as a player. When you play a game, when you're creating like your customized character, you don't really ever feel like that's you.
Yeah.
You know? And arena shooters are kind of not that popular anymore. Boomer shooters is what they call
them. Yeah. I mean, dude, that's the thing. I think it was 505, right? It was 505 Games they made that. What was the name of the studio?
I think so. Let me double check for you.
Pretty sure it was 505. Anyway, I think that studio just outgrew that game very quickly, like way quicker than I thought they were going to.
1047 Games.
1047. I knew it was a number. Who's 505 Games? That's the studio, but I'm trying to think of. I know that's the studio. I can't think of the game they made. It was like recent.
Terraria, Death Stranding, Ghost Runner, and Control.
Yeah, Control. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, but yeah, 1047. So I mean, I think they outgrew that game so fast, and they were just like, well, we already know how we can essentially take this formula and make it way better, and rather than try to rework and kind of just like recode what we have, like we should just like let's just kind of retire this and then just take a couple years and just try and like make the game we want to make, kind of thing. So I can commend them for that, right? Just kind of stepping back and saying, hey, we can make this like 1,000,000 times better, and probably on Unreal Engine 5 because that new technology's here. So why don't we just do that kind of thing? Yeah, I think in terms of Jaeger, though, it's very unfortunate that they had to come to the point of like, yeah, we financially can't uphold this anymore, so we're better off just cutting our losses and moving on to the next thing. It sucks, but at the same time, I very much love the fact that they just didn't shut down and they did the proper planning to say like, hey, we can't finish this out, or like we can't maintain this, so we're better off, and we'll be able to keep everyone's job if we just move on to the next thing and just try to focus on the next thing rather than keeping this afloat. So I can commend them for that. Very smart decision. You can tell it's a studio that knows what they're doing, so you love to see that, you know.
True. I think it is just very sad going back to the whole cheater. Like
Yeah.
I know at the start of the episode I said I was playing Halo 3 again. Dude, I was playing matchmaking and I was running into cheaters. I was playing in a custom server doing fours and I know there were two guys cheating. And it's just like that's a game that's no longer popular. It's like over 10 years old. Nobody gives a crap about it anymore. And people are still cheating. So it just goes to show it's like people want to feel good at a game, but they're cheating to do so.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's a psychological thing. I can definitely come up with reasons and topics of discussion,
Yeah.
but you hate to see when the Cycle Frontier I played a few times. It wasn't a bad game. Didn't have the time commitment for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
when
it's true.
you don't have a time commitment for it, similar to Sea of Thieves, it's like if you go on a fantastic game, but you are committing at least over an hour on a voyage, and there's a possibility that like another player can come destroy you and take all your stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's way less common than the Cycle is or Escape from Tarkov is. But imagine that was happening in Sea of Thieves and everybody's cheating. You know, I wouldn't ever play it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. There's no point.
That's basically where I am with the Cycle. And yeah.
Dude, there could not be a worse type of game for cheating to happen to than a distraction shooter. Because it's like the whole point is you're like getting everything, you're looting everything, and then getting out as quick as you can. So it's like you die to a cheater after looting for like 2 hours. It's like
I'm breaking a controller.
I'm serious. Like
straight up, man.
This keyboard's done, dog. Like I don't know what to tell you.
I am beyond checked. Like that's one of the reasons. Let me go back to Halo. That's like one of the reasons why I quit playing Halo is because there's so many people openly cheating, and they were like they're cheating in tournaments for money.
Yeah,
and I saw that. Like I'm like I'm out, dude. See ya.
It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Oh man.
And that's why we play single players now.
That's what I'm saying, baby.
Bring the joy back.
For real. Dude, I have to say, before we move on, dude, your mic was cutting out. I was just gonna say it.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
No.
He's doing that cutout.
I saw it a few times when I was talking, and it was like,
yeah,
but yeah, it's okay.
I don't know, man. It's like so weird. It's not like every sentence, but just I just hear it, dude. Not gonna lie, I'll be honest with you.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
It's not the worst.
It's probably my voice gain. Maybe I'll turn it down.
Oh, you can do like,
I'm not singing for the pod. Let's keep it going, dude.
Whatever you say, dude. All right. Well, this is a studio that I very much enjoy because I very much love one of the games they make. But I'll give you the article, Mike. Felt nice today. You know what I'm saying?
You've done that a few times with me. I think you just like hearing other people read what you want to hear. Like what you want to read.
I mean, I don't really want to hear this though. I mean, but I love the studio. I will say that.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's get into it. If my voice cuts out, let me know. And then I'll repeat myself. And if it gets really bad, then we're just going to cut out the pod entirely and we're going to fix it and come back.
Y'all aren't getting an episode, I'm just saying.
All right, so let's get into it. So this is another article from... We don't actually have the writer for this one.
That's pretty crazy. Not gonna lie.
I love giving out shout outs. There's nobody.
I guess it's one of those like fake alias writers, or it's like a writer under an alias. They didn't want to.
All right, so shout out the AI that wrote this. So this is coming from the business section of Game Developer. It's about Hi-Rez Studios lays off employees and company restructuring. Another dev to restructure, man. Last time we were talking about EA, now we got Hi-Rez. Crazy. So Hi-Rez Studios has recently undergone a restructuring. Focus the business around its top priorities. On LinkedIn, CEO Stuart Chisholm?
Yeah,
Chisholm? That sounds right.
Something.
Wrote that the studio will now be split across 3 branches that will operate as independent studios, newly rebranded Hi-Rez Ventures. So layoffs have also been part of the restructure, though Chisholm did not disclose how many there were affected. And if it was relegated to one particular studio, a representative for the company later confirmed around 10% of overall workforce was impacted. Kind of wild, dude.
It's pretty crazy.
This isn't all that uncommon between like everything that we've been seeing the last 6 months, basically the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
More and more companies just laying off.
I mean,
So,
yeah.
it's kind of nuts.
Yeah,
But
just a little bit.
anyways, so it goes in to say that though a mixed representative said that there was heavier impact on the company's publishing and back office roles. Sheesh. The biggest change comes to his subsidiaries, Divine Knockout developer Redbeard Games and Rogue Company creator First Watch Games, and they have been respectively merged with Titan Forge and Evil Mojo. Sheesh. So where do you stand on this?
I stand with this cat. That's what I stand with.
You stand with the cat. So most of this is the MOBA game Smite. Obviously, that's one of the main reasons why you're that like super popular, correct?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
super into this story.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Rogue Company is one that I'd played a whole bunch for a while. That was like one of my first ever streaming games, believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Rogue Company was great. I think overall, obviously my go-to is Smite, like you were saying. So, to see that there was layoffs at a company that makes a game you very much enjoy, it's very unfortunate. But at the same time, I mean, Hi-Rez is a big studio, so I mean, it doesn't overly surprise me. But at the same time, it just sucks because I mean, like you were saying, dude, we've seen a lot of layoffs, especially recently. So, but it's not necessarily. I mean, I hate to say it's like not really surprising, but it just kind of is surprising, especially where things are economically and just in the industry as a whole. So, yeah, it seems kind of interesting how they're kind of splitting things up because I think yeah, I mean they're merging studios. I mean, so yeah, it's a Divine Knockout developer Redbeard Games and Rogue Company creator. They've been merged, so it's like they're just taking studios and just like kind of melding them together at this point, which is interesting. But yeah, man, it sucks here to say the least, dude.
Yeah, it seems to me that they're. I didn't even know this. Okay, so they're also behind Realm Royale and Divine Knockout, and that's I knew those games. Don't get me wrong, I know the games. I just didn't know that Hi-Rez was actually a part of it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No, it's a good point.
yeah, these are all I would say like definitely successful games.
Yeah, I mean for sure. Yeah, and you don't
So
realize like Hi-Rez is kind of behind it.
yeah, so I think it's I mean we're definitely through. Some industries are in a recession. I don't think we're in a global recession quite yet. We're like on the verge of it. I'm not an economist, but that's what I've been like seeing and reading. And I think what they're doing is no different than what EA was trying to do. Because EA also had a bunch of layoffs. They're restructuring the overall brand and trying to just figure things out and weather the storm kind of thing.
Right.
It's really unfortunate people got laid off because of this, and it's back of house. So
yeah,
that's usually the people that keep it running.
right. It's such a good point.
We'll see how it works. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays off.
Old strategy, Cotton.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. It's kind of interesting he took to LinkedIn to announce it. Most of the time they do some type of like public filing on the official website and stuff and like do a press release. But hey, to each their own.
Sure.
LinkedIn's moving up in the world. It's now becoming the Facebook of business. So
no,
makes sense.
Well, I mean, going forward, Titan Forge Games is going to focus on Smite. So it's like it's weird now because it's like it's a Hi-Rez studio, and I almost because thinking about it now, it's like it's Hi-Rez Studios. So yeah, it actually is like multiple different kind of studios under one brand, under one banner. And so I just think about Hi-Rez made it, but I guess like I don't know. If you think about it now, like Smite wise, it's like it's technically Titan Forge that's making it. It's not really Hi-Rez. They're just kind of the publisher and the pusher. But
true.
Yeah, because I read that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I'd maybe rethink kind of the Hi-Rez kind of how the Hi-Rez ecosystem actually works. So I don't know. It's weird. The world of video games. You know what I'm saying? We got like. My favorite Embracer Group. That's like my favorite. It sounds like a venture capital.
It does, man.
I'm thinking venture capital. Yeah, so like I don't know. It sounds like a hedge fund. That's what I'm thinking. It's like Embracer Group. It's just weird names for these like conglomerates, but
Yeah, conglomerates, subsidiaries of the conglomerate, all
Yeah.
this type of stuff. Yeah, but I
Dude,
guess
it's strange,
that's a
dude.
quick little update. I mean, the layoffs are not done in the next probably a couple of months, man.
Oh, wait,
Like
what'd you
more and
say?
more coming on the rise.
That whole
Sorry,
sentence
I
cut
was saying that this mic is trash. That's what I'm saying. My settings are incorrect on Discord, so we'll have to revise that later. But what I was saying is that the now I lost my train of thought.
Not the mic, dude. The mic. Oh, the mic's messing up Mike right
Shoot,
now,
man.
dude. It really is
The
like
mic's messing with Mike.
it's
Yeah.
really kind of canon, you know?
Dang, man. Oh yeah, what I'm saying is there's probably gonna be more layoffs in the industry, like as a whole,
Yeah.
for like the foreseeable future. Just because that's like I don't see this being the end
Yeah, it's not
of
the
layoffs.
last for sure.
No,
Oh
we'll probably see
man,
more of this.
it's so sad, Mike. I think it's very important that we end on a rather funny article. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
Oh, and it's at the subject of
like
the
that.
one and only Sony, dude.
Of course it is. Let's get it.
Oh man. Look, I love Sony. I love the games they're putting out. I love the first party stuff. I feel like we dog on Sony a lot, especially during this Microsoft Activision acquisition. But I don't know. We do it because we love you, Sony. All right, there's another way to say it.
I
but
do
listen.
it because I'm upset. It's still there ain't no PlayStation in the TV. That's all I'm saying. Bring it up every single episode. I don't care, man.
Sony TV, dude. See, I'm buying a Samsung TV, Sony. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Anyways, Sony's all right, listen to this article. I want you to listen to this title carefully. Sony's confidential PlayStation secrets just spilled because of a Sharpie. There's more context to that, but that's kind of wild. Just that article alone, dude.
That is a clickbait title.
Yeah, it really is. The Black Sharpie strikes again to reveal Sony's Call of Duty revenue secrets. This is a pretty long article because there's actually a lot that the Sharpie it was a lot that leaked because, you know, someone decided to use a Sharpie and not fully cover up the confidential information.
Man.
Oh man. All right, Sony's highly confidential information about its PlayStation business has just been revealed by mistake. As part of the FTC Microsoft hearing, Sony supplied a document from PlayStation chief Jim Ryan that includes redacted details of the margins Sony shares with publishers, its Call of Duty revenues, and even the cost of developing some of its games. It looks like someone redacted the documents with a black Sharpie, but when you scan them in, it's easy to see some of the redactions. Oops. I don't want to know the intern that did this, dude. That's so bad. All right. The court has scrambled to remove the documents, but the damage is already done. Reporters with Sony and Sony's competition have already downloaded all the documents while they were in public domain. Among other things, the document shows that Horizon Forbidden West apparently cost $212 million over 5 years with 300 employees, and The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million with around 200 employees. God. Dude, that's
God. Dang.
Oh, dude, that's so much money, man.
Oh my goodness.
God, I mean, don't get me wrong. These are spectacular video games, you know what I'm saying? And especially for Last of Us Part 2, like, I'm just saying that game ran very well for me. You know, like, I think for most people too, it was like in terms of bugs, it was very minimal. So, I mean,
Better be.
I would justify that number as astronomical as it seems because it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's so funny too because they show some of the article they show some of the document. It says they said developing and producing AAA games often costs over $100 million, requires hundreds of thousands of developers, and takes years. And they go on to talk about, and they give examples, obviously Last of Us Part 2 and Horizon Forbidden West and how long it took. And it's so funny, it's hard to kind of see it, but you can sort of see it in the screenshots. I mean, I'll like zoom it in for people, but like you can see you can clearly see it's like these numbers. It's like, oh man.
Number 5, 2012. It's like 221 million. Like,
I mean,
man.
Mike, at the very least, you know they make the whiteout strips. You just whiteout strip it, and then it scans in, and guess what? You don't see the.
If you're that okay, so here's a pro tip. Next time, buy either like you black it out, right, with the Sharpie, and then put another layer on top of it,
Yeah.
and then like tape it on or glue it on so that you can't see through it, and then scan, and then go in to Adobe or Bluebeam or whatever, and then do raster image and
Yeah.
like
Wait, you do raster image and what was that?
you can like pull up and move it into like any type of PDF
Yeah.
editor and do images on top, and you can whiten or
I
blacken
see,
it
yeah.
out, and then you raster image it, which means like you can't re-edit it.
Yeah.
It becomes like its own individual image, no matter
Yeah.
what.
I mean, see,
They messed up.
just hire Mike,
Insurance,
Sony.
man.
What the, like, come on, man. Like, what's going on here? Oh, all right. It's not just how much games cost to make that's been revealed here either. Sony says, it says 1 million PlayStation gamers play nothing but Call of Duty, which is pretty funny. In 2021, over 14 question mark. It says over 14 million users by device spent 30% or more of their time playing Call of Duty. Over 6 million users spent more than 70% of their time playing Call of Duty, and about 1 million users spent 100% of their gaming time on Call of Duty. In 2021, Call of Duty players spent an average of 116 hours per year playing Call of Duty, and COD players spent more than 70% of their time on COD. Spent an average of 296 hours on the franchise. Dude, those are crazy numbers.
Holy crap!
I mean, look,
Bunch of one tricks, man.
I'm saying there's no diversity here, bro. And also too, it's like, I hate to say, but it also kind of helps like Sony's case. Like, oh, COD is a pretty big player. I mean, I will say that. We're not necessarily saying that they're not, but then again, you know, they worry too much about COD. I'm just gonna say it.
Dude, 1 million people. Okay, so how many like PlayStation 5s were sold?
It's like, I want to say like 17 million. I think last time I checked.
Bro, what?
It's like 17.
That's
That's
like
a lot.
a massive percentage of just on one game, and that's all.
Yeah, it's true, dude.
What's
It's
that?
over 14
1 over 17
million.
is 5.8. You mean like close to 6% of your player base is playing one game?
Call of
One
Duty.
game. Bro,
Yeah.
what?
Crazy.
That's wild, man.
Absolutely insane.
It's not even a good game.
Oh, but Mike, we're not done yet. There's more. I honestly, I'm about to just go through the rest of this article. TBH. Sony supplied this information in an attempt to show that its revenues would be heavily impacted if Call of Duty was an Xbox exclusive. In multiple filings to regulators, Sony has maintained that it fears Microsoft could make COD exclusive to Xbox or even sabotage the PlayStation versions of the game. And we may have an inkling of that revenue impact because Sony also accidentally revealed how much money Call of Duty is worth on PlayStation, or to PlayStation, I should say. We already knew this figure was over $1 billion. But the document suggests that COD was worth $800 million for PlayStation revenue in just the US during 2021. And we think the document says $1.5 billion globally. And that's just this game. That's just the game alone. But when you count accessories, subscriptions, and everything else, then that jumps to what appears to our eyes to be $15.9 billion a year, perhaps, or perhaps $13.9 billion. Either way, that's a big number. And so it's like, that's a lot of money.
Sheesh.
Yeah, sheesh to say the least, baby. How much Sony?
Worried.
Yeah, no, for real. How much Sony? How much does Sony share with third-party publishers like Activision? This one's fuzzy enough. We can't confidently translate it, and it's so funny because, like, yeah, a lot of these are like, it's like, oh, they almost did a good job, kind of thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. It says, but the typical margin looks like it might be 10%, and they give the screenshot of the document. Yeah, this is very hard to actually interpret, but document also reveals that Sony only has one more Call of Duty game as part of its exclusive marketing deal with Activision. The last game covered by the contract is Call of Duty title to be released in late 2023, which is funny because originally we were like, oh, it's not going to be a COD game in 2023, but here we are. So, reads part of the document for Jim Ryan that wasn't properly redacted. Sony also says around half of PS5 owners also have a Switch. The FTC and Microsoft have continually been arguing over whether the Switch is a competitor to the Xbox and PS5 during this hearing, and Sony's data is even clearer evidence of the makeup of console ownership in the US. According to SIE internal surveys, almost half of PS5 owners in the United States also own a Nintendo Switch, while less than 20% of PS5 owners in the United States also own an Xbox Series X or S. Sony isn't the only one affected by document redaction issues, though. A confidential Microsoft document revealed all the company's Xbox acquisition targets earlier this week, and now that document has disappeared and has been replaced with a heavily redacted version. That one wasn't redacted with a Sharpie, though. Got him.
Got him.
Yeah, dude, that's a weird statistic, I think. It's like, almost half of people that own a PlayStation own a Switch. But yeah, I mean, most people that own a PlayStation 5 don't bother with an Xbox. I mean, I think that much makes sense. But it just goes to show you, though, that's impressive for Nintendo, right? I mean, it just goes to show you the power of their library and the power of their IP.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, people are still buying their console. It's different, right? And it's so vastly different that people are interested in it, and rightfully so. So good on Nintendo. I got to give Nintendo props there, dude. They're taking a W.
They really are. I just know that PlayStation ain't taking a W after this. Reading a little bit further, it actually says that they don't know who was supposed to redact the information.
Yeah.
And that Sony might not even be the people who performed the redactation. And that somebody in the court did.
Oh, that's rough, dude. Someone from the a federal court. It's like, geez.
Yeah, but even then, man, I wouldn't give them the information.
I mean, yeah, do you sue the government for
Yeah, it's like you're not part of the case. You're basically like cited as a plaintiff because you put all your eggs in one basket for Call of Duty.
Amen,
Yeah. It's actually hilarious too, because this is further proof that what I've been saying is true, friend. If I can hear your mic, like open mic on Call of Duty, you're on a PlayStation. Every time. Every time, dude. Because like the PC players are in Discord or they got pushed to talk. Yeah. And then the Xbox players are all in Xbox Games party chat.
That's very true. What has PlayStation got? Yeah. I mean, they got parties, but
they got parties.
Nobody using them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're recording your parties.
Yeah.
Shout out Sony.
Dude, yeah. Forgot about
the thing that they really got that is absolutely mind-boggling, right? They have speakers and mics on the controllers. So like
they do, they sure do.
Dude, when they turned on open mic on Rocket League, and like, don't get me wrong, I love their controls, but there are people that like don't mute their mics or don't have it on push to talk, so they were just playing, and I could hear all the clicks and the clacks and stuff because you got to really flick with that game, the joysticks. Right, yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. How do you feel about all the? How do you feel about all this new information out of Sony?
Oh man. I think it's so hilarious, but like also like I think like a lot of people predicted. I mean, now that the government's involved, there's going to be a lot of disinformation coming out, whether developers intend to or not. And this is just an example of that. It's like it's cool, and it's cool for us because we get to see like I think to people like us, it's probably really interesting. I know to most consumers, they probably don't care, but it's like just seeing like how much these games like bring in terms of revenue and how the market and sample sizes are split up in terms of like console ownership. And I don't know, it's really cool. I think it's really cool insights to see like these giant figures. So yeah, I mean, Ninja Theory, $117 million to acquire it. We're talking, $200+ million for not only Last of Us Part 2, but also Horizon Forbidden West from PlayStation, which I don't know, to me makes sense. I mean, those are two huge first-party PlayStation games. And I'm assuming God of War is right in that vein as well.
More, man.
Like, it's Spider-Man. I mean, dude, Spider-Man 2. Have you seen Spider-Man 2, Mike? You know what I'm saying?
Like, that's amazing. Yeah, that's worth every penny, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think these...
Actually, all of them are. All four of the ones that you just listed are.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, all these, like, first-party PlayStation games are worth every amount. Like, it's a great investment because they're making way more in revenue, so...
Yeah.
And this thing, if you pour money into the right stuff, it makes sense. What's the saying? Like, money just it amplifies your flaws and stuff like that. So a lot of these developers get called out.
Amplifies your flaws and successes.
Yeah, right. Like it just amplifies the type of like, I guess, company you are, right? So
yeah,
all makes sense, dude. All makes sense. Oh man,
it's a fact, dude.
Fun times, dude. There's even more. Like we could go on and on because there's been so many different like pieces of information that have leaked and whatnot. But yeah.
One thing I will mention. This goes back to the handheld Q, Project Q, I think it was called.
Yeah.
By PlayStation. I said $300 to $350. And what came out of the FTC filing court cases? Rumored to be $300. So
Yeah.
I love pretending like I'm always right. So I guess without further ado, I mean, we're basically under an hour of my mic cutting out for no reason.
Dude, I just had my cat walk over my headset and I couldn't hear you, and I was like, "Oh, does my cut out?" But no, my cat is just being a nuisance tonight. So
yeah. This is the Scuffed podcast, the new Scuffed podcast. But that's pretty much all of the topics of discussion we have for this week. However, I do want to fill people in. I'm gonna try to fill them in on like the July 1st, because that's when the episode's gonna go live for the new games.
Yeah, very true.
And I'm gonna go in order here, and then we'll basically close out the podcast episode. So, without further ado, I have the full list here, and I'm only gonna cover like 10, probably the most popular games, and I'm gonna go from earliest release in the month to the last of the month. If anybody's watching right now, Kyle's playing with his cat. He's making him dance.
A nuisance.
All right. So, without further ado, let's see here. Without further ado, we got Legends of Heroes, Trails into Reverie, I think is what it's called. This is going to be July 7th. It is on PC, PS4, PS5, and Nintendo Switch. You have Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals. The first one was pretty cool. It was like kind of a puzzle, horror, thriller, like psychological horror. That's on PC, PS4, 5, and the Switch. And that's actually published by Netflix, if you didn't know that. Yeah. So July 14th, we have a PC game from THQ, and it is Jagged Alliance 3. Same day, we also have Exo Primal coming out of Capcom. That's on all platforms. I think it's not on the Xbox Series S, and it's not on the Switch, but it is on the Xbox One. So maybe that is a poorly edited. It's probably for the S as well. The next one you got is Lisa Definitive Edition. That is July 18th. That's on pretty much all platforms. Then you got Nobunga's Ambition Awakening, July 20th, PC, PS4, Nintendo Switch. You got probably the heaviest hitting of the month is going to be Pikmin 4. That's obviously for Nintendo Switch. That's July 21st. Then you got something that caught my eye is Remnant 2, July 25th.
Hey, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So you got PC, PS5, Xbox Series X. Following up, we got a Disney game on the Switch. It is Disney Illusion Island. It looks pretty cool. This just looks like a fun kid like Disney game. That is coming out July 28th. And then the last one of the month, July 31st on all platforms, except for the Switch. Poor Switch is missing out, but I'm sure it's going to end up eventually, is F1 Manager 2023. So instead of being an F1 racer, you're managing an entire team.
It's like Football Manager, dude.
It really is.
You're managing a club in the Premier League.
Yes, sir. 100%. So cool. That's pretty much all the games for July. I mean, I looked up a bunch of different games as well, and July really doesn't have a lot of games. Like all the major hits were coming out of in June, and we're in that void kind of that always happens in the year. There's like two major voids. Right? There's nothing really happening in July and half of August. Everything hits in September, October, November, December.
Yep.
And then after the holidays, it's like January, February are usually kind of dead. Usually. There's not a whole lot going on.
Unless Hogwarts Legacy drops, and then there's actually something in February.
Or Elden Ring comes out of nowhere. Wasn't that February or was that March?
It was. It was like beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's usually like, I guess one or two major hits. Yeah. But in terms of like massive releases, dude, like June was slammed. Like June was absolutely slammed with content.
Yeah.
Slammed. So
pretty much,
Yeah. But that's all I got for him. That's really it. You got anything?
That's all I got for him too, Mike. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is keep an eye on the FTC Microsoft case, because every day there's something new that's just juicy. So It's one of those things. And I would recommend you go over to The Verge because Tom Warren is covering the entirety
All
of
of
this
it,
to a
dude.
T. He's doing
He
live
is.
updates all throughout the day. So I don't know if he's writing many other articles. I think like most of the articles coming out of The Verge right now are like other members of the team, and then like he's just focused on that solely. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
And play a Game Pass game. Why not? Go
Yeah,
check
I
something
mean,
out. You know what I'm saying?
You said As Dusk Falls is only 6 hours, and then I got 6 hours.
Yeah, it's a short
It
one.
probably will. I bet it's even on the Xbox One.
Yeah,
So.
I think so. It's on I know it's on the cloud. It was one of those dude like
Yeah, it
this
is. And next,
this month this month's my birthday. Samsung TV is gonna happen
right.
one way or another. You know what I'm saying? That has cloud capability, and I really want to try that out. But like I was like, I don't want to wait too much longer. Like I want to try like a good game on it. So even though I think a game like As Dusk Falls makes it a great game for cloud because it's very like low like utilization. So
yeah,
it'd be perfect for something like that. But also, I want to try and push the limits of cloud to the max. I didn't even mention at the start of the show. I actually tried a little bit of like Fable 2, I think, and I was playing on my phone. It actually wasn't bad. I was using phone controls because it's one of the few games that lets you use your phone controls. And yeah, I would say use a controller. But other than that, I think the streaming wasn't too bad. So yeah, it's I don't know, stuff I've been trying to check out on the phone. So. And it just makes you want to get an iPad so I can stream it to a bigger screen, but I'm not going to invest that kind of money. So
that's a fact, dude. All right, man. I guess we'll just go ahead and let the people go.
all right.
Let them. Oh yeah, we got to let them know. Anything that we've covered in the show, even the games that I mentioned earlier. All the links are in the description below. You can follow us on Twitter, any social media platform, Discord. Kyle over here has been killing it on the YouTube Shorts and the segments. Appreciate you, Kyle. He's the main guy running the thumbnails too. He's pretty much the guy doing everything. I just show up here. So, anyways, without further ado, give Kyle some love. We'll catch you in the next one, really. This has been the M2 Podcast. I'm MadMikeWillEatU. Kyle Heath. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. See you in July. Bye.
Facts. See you later.